Section 13 is here to burst your bubble. Turns out, moving fertilizer is like a game of chess, only with more legal jargon and potentially hefty fines. Depending on your location, the type of fertilizer, and even the time of year, you might need special permits, licenses, or even a team of lawyers just to move it across the street. It's enough to make you want to just give up and eat dirt. But don't worry, we'll walk you through it. Ever walk into a store, money in hand, ready to buy something, only to be told no? Well, that's Section 14 in a nutshell. But instead of a trendy pair of shoes, it's fertilizer. That's right, sellers can actually refuse to sell you fertilizer under certain circumstances. Think of it like a really strict bouncer at a fertilizer nightclub. Maybe you're not on the list, or you haven't shown proper ID, or maybe you just look a little suspicious. Whatever the reason, Section 14 gives sellers the power to cut you off. So, you've got your fertilizer, you know where you can and can't move it, and you've managed to buy some from a seller who actually likes you. Now what? Well, if you think you can just toss it all in your basement and call it a day, you're in for a rude awakening. Section 15 is all about declaring your fertilizer palace, also known as a godown, storehouse, or warehouse. This isn't some casual, hey, I've got a bit of fertilizer over here situation. We're talking official registration, detailed records, and potentially inspections. It's like getting a building permit, but for the stuff that makes your plants grow. Paperwork. The bane of existence. The necessary evil. The fertilizer regulations? That's right. Section 16 is here to make sure you're keeping meticulous records of your fertilizer adventures. We're talking purchase dates, quantities, storage locations, and probably a detailed diary of your fertilizer's hopes and dreams. Okay, maybe not that last one, but you get the idea. Keep those records clean, organized, and readily available, because you never know when the fertilizer police might come knocking. Remember those surprise inspections your parents warned you about in school? Well, Section 17 is like that. But instead of checking your locker for contraband candy, they're looking for fertilizer violations. That's right. The authorities have the power to waltz onto your property and demand to see your fertilizer operation. They can check your storage, your records, and even your fertilizer itself, all in the name of safety and compliance. It's enough to make you wish you'd gone into a career with less government oversight. We've all been there. You buy something that looks great online, but turns out to be a cheap imitation. Well, Section 18 is here to say that when it comes to fertilizer, fakery is not tolerated. Selling adulterated or fake fertilizer is not just bad for business, it's potentially illegal. We're talking hefty fines, possible jail time, and the shame of knowing you peddled subpar plant food. So if you're thinking of cutting corners with your fertilizer, Section 18 is here to remind you, it's not worth the risk. Ever wonder how they test fertilizer to make sure it's the real deal? Well, Section 19 is here to pull back the curtain on the fascinating world of fertilizer sampling. It's not as simple as just grabbing a handful and calling it a day. There's a whole standardized procedure for sampling fertilizers, carefully designed to ensure accuracy and prevent contamination. We're talking sterile tools, specific sample sizes, and probably a lab coat or two. It's science, but with fertilizer. Hidden away in the depths of government buildings, there's a group of dedicated scientists hard at work, analyzing fertilizer like it's the most interesting thing on the planet. These are the heroes of Section 20, the government fertilizer testing laboratories. They're the ones who get to the bottom of those. Is this fertilizer real? Mysteries, using their scientific prowess to protect both consumers and the environment. They're like the CSI of the fertilizer world, only with less flashy sunglasses and more lab coats. So, you've got your fertilizer sample, carefully collected according to the strict guidelines of Section 19. Now what? Well, it's time to send it on a little field trip to the government fertilizer testing laboratory, as outlined in Section 21. But this isn't your average package delivery. We're talking secure packaging, proper labeling, and a chain of custody that would make a courtroom drama proud. It's like a delicate dance of bureaucracy, all to ensure that your fertilizer sample arrives safe, sound, and ready for its close-up. The moment of truth has arrived. The government fertilizer testing laboratory has finished analyzing your sample, and the results are in. But don't expect a dramatic reveal with flashing lights and confetti. Section 22 is all about the official reporting process, which is usually a bit more subdued. We're talking official documents, technical jargon, and hopefully a big fat compliant stamp at the end. But if the results aren't what you were hoping for, well, let's just say Section 22 also outlines the procedures for dealing with non-compliant fertilizer, and it's not pretty. You'd think something as simple as a bag of fertilizer wouldn't require an instruction manual, but then you'd be underestimating the power of Section 23. This section is all about the labeling and printing requirements for fertilizer packaging. And let me tell you, they are surprisingly specific. From font sizes to color schemes to the exact wording of warning labels, Section 23 leaves no room for creative interpretation. It's enough to make you wonder if there's a secret government agency dedicated entirely to fertilizer package design.